Seeing goblins. Appreciating goblins. Succubus with goblins.
And we don't want no problems. Okay, you're a go. What's a go?
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to about 1,000 of your guys' favorite pod. We're getting the numbers up there slowly, more consistently, where we're breaking like 1K every episode. That's great.
Yeah, man.
It gives Jaden this sense of purpose in life, and for me too. But no, for real, it is awesome to see you guys interacting more with the pod, and it's really cool. I've been doing a better job of getting back at the comments. I think I got every comment last episode, so good on me. Also sporting the Lakers gear tonight because they're frauds, but they beat two really bad teams in a row. So it's like, hey, all right, cool, good vibes right now. But Jaden, did anything come out this week that like you think we should probably talk about?
Well, Melania was about a month ago.
It's Melania. You
whatever. It was a pretty big controversial horror film that came out recently.
What's your favorite?
Yeah, that's right.
Almost got all of it.
I got that ghost face that came on
That's
the cup.
fire.
He came all over the cup, and I was like, yes, now I have to have it. Look, guys, I'm gonna let you know right from the beginning here. Jaden and I have not talked about our thoughts on Scream 7, but I know that we are going to be diametrically opposed. So that'll be really interesting when we get to it. But we haven't talked about the franchise as a whole, right? We haven't done one yet on the franchise.
Nah, never. I think you and I both kind of thought we would just save it for whenever 7 came out, and here we are.
Finally. We are. Yeah. That's fitting. Never. We haven't, but here we are, and we're here to talk about it, and we're really excited. Jaden is probably the world's foremost authority on Scream. I would say he's the biggest fan that you will meet. He has a ghost face tattoo on his. Well, never mind. So Jaden, it is not hyperbolic at all to say that the first Scream was a shot in the arm to the horror genre as a whole in the 90s, because that genre was flailing. Let's be real. We're both big horror fans. There's some 90s horror movies that came out before Scream that I love. My favorite 90s horror film is actually Candyman. So that was before Scream. However, it was a dying breed, brother. I mean, you were seeing Jason Goes to Hell. Nobody liked it. Flopped. Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers. Nobody liked it. Flop. Freddy's Dead wasn't a flop, but diminishing returns from the peak of that series, and nobody liked it. We can go down the line, okay? And then, I mean, Hellraiser was what it was in the 90s. We don't even need to rehash that. So, do you remember the first time you saw Scream? And, how old were you? Was it your sister again that introduced you to it? And what did you think? And where are you at today?
So, weirdly, no, it wasn't. My sister didn't show me this one like she did a lot of movies. Even though, I mean, she was born in 89, so she still would have been young for Scream. So I don't think she even cared about it. I think it was more my mom's thing. But I didn't see Scream until, I would have been probably like 12 or something like that. It would have been like, weirdly, I think I saw Scream 4 first, which we'll get into. But that was the first one I'd ever seen, and then I kind of wanted to watch all the movies like after that had come out. So I binged all of them. I got the old triple pack DVD of 1 through 3 at like Walgreens or something, and I was watching them like that.
Okay. Triple pack
What about
DVD
you?
of 1, 2, and 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So Scream, I couldn't even tell you how old I was, but I do remember the first time I saw it. I actually remember, low-key, not even kidding, I was kind of like, this seems kind of corny. They're trying really hard to be like Halloween. But there was something about it, man. I was just like, this is kind of cool though. Like once it was over, I think the thing that grabbed me the first time I saw Scream, it wasn't even Nev Campbell, Drew Barrymore. No, it was Billy and Stu. It was that
Mm.
third act. I thought that was just like really high energy and like properly demented and just a really fun time, to the point where I feel like ever since then, this franchise, not just me, has been chasing that dragon of like that third act. Um, but for me, um, I would say I was probably, I mean, it's crazy because this movie came out after I was born, so you'd figure it would have been playing on TV all the time growing up. But I don't think I saw Scream until I was 10 or 11.
Mm.
And then I quickly went and bought all the DVDs because at the time I didn't become like a fan of Scream where I actually considered myself a fan until like Scream 4 era. And funny enough, I didn't see that movie in theaters, but also I was, how old was I? I was almost 17. So I could have seen it. I don't know why I didn't. Um, yeah, and I remember really digging it. And then today, you know, it's one of those things. I mean, when talking about Scream, you have to shout out the opening. I mean, I genuinely don't. I can't take anybody seriously if they're not going to give props to the opening of Scream. That thing was a game changer. You put somebody that was at the top of their game in Drew Barrymore. She was a star in the opening of this movie. You market her in the movie on the posters, and then you kill her in the first act, like before the credits roll. And you're like, what in the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
that was a ballsy decision. It was also really cool watching this for the first time and being like, oh, this horror movie trivia. And like, I don't know if you were like me, but like I would quiz myself on things. Like
Mhm.
sometimes when watching these for the first time, I'd be like, oh, I know the answer to that. I know the answer to that one.
Yeah.
I got the Friday the 13th question in the first one, the very first time. I was like, nope, no, he's trying to dupe you, bro.
Yeah.
But yeah, and now I would consider myself, you know, I'm not the world's biggest Scream fan. There are many, many, many diehards that love this franchise far more than I do. But I'm a pretty big fan of this franchise. I really, really am. But it all started with this first movie. So for me, I love this movie now more than I did when I first saw it. I just think it had all of the elements that it needed to. A great cast, comedy. We hadn't really seen that meta, self-aware, poking fun at itself approach yet. I mean, we did and we didn't. Like Wes Craven was a couple years early with New Nightmare. You had
Mhm.
some of that in Jason Lives. But I feel like this was the first really like mainstream one, and it just caught on. It made fun of the subgenre that it was in, and that was kind of the first time you really saw that. But I think the brilliance of Scream is its cast and their camaraderie together, and
Yeah.
the surprising third act. I mean, it's a surprising twist, and the energy that Matthew Lillard and Skeet Ulrich bring to it is just like next level. So for me, this is a yearly watch. This is a perfect 5. What say you?
Yeah, man. When I first saw it, like, I don't think of Scream now as, like, necessarily, like, a scary film, but when I first watched it, that opening is pretty creepy. Like, if you're sitting alone in a dark room and you're really putting yourself in that situation and listening to what he's saying on the phone, like, it is pretty terrifying, and especially because I believe the film was based off of actual murders that happened. So this is a very realistic thing that could happen. So if I, put myself in the shoes of the main characters, it's one of the scarier horror films because of how realistic it is. Like this shit could happen to you. So that always freaked me out about Scream. But also, yeah, I mean the cast is perfect. Like every side character is lovable. Um,
Dude, it wasn't even Nev that I crushed on. It was Rose McGowan, bro. Oh my
oh
god.
yeah, yeah, yeah. She's gorgeous in this
In
movie.
that garage, man. It was cold out that night.
Yeah, she's also great in this movie. I mean, she's super likable. Like all the characters are really, even the cameraman. Um, So yeah, it's a fun cast. There's a lot of funny moments, some really great kills, and instantly like one of the most iconic killers in horror. After maybe Michael Myers and Jason, I'd say Ghostface is probably like number 3 at this point. maybe even over Jason.
Dude, I would have argued with you a couple years ago, but the fact that we haven't seen Jason or Freddy in over a decade, I'm like, yeah, to today's
Yeah.
audiences, Ghostface is more iconic. Not on the whole, but right now, 100%.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with you. This is a perfect 5. I think this is probably the third best slasher film ever, like in my personal opinion, after Halloween and Black Christmas, and I consider both of those perfect movies as well. Um, yeah, I can't really find any blemishes on this film.
Dude, I just remembered what made me watch Scream for the first time, and it was Scary Movie. I
Oh,
remember
nice.
now. I saw Scary Movie before I saw Scream.
I did too.
And dude, by the way, super stoked for Scary Movie 6. The trailer
Oh
looks
yeah.
funny. But that, oh my God, I used to confuse Dewey and Doofy. And the scene in
Yep.
Scary Movie where he's in his room with the vacuum, dude. Oh man. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really think we'd have much disagreement here. I think both
No.
of us are pretty open about the fact that regardless of your thoughts on the franchise as a whole, this first movie is an all-timer. It's earned its status. But I want to ask you something before we get to Scream 2. Who do you credit more for the success of this movie? I think I know your answer because you're kind of a hater of Wes Craven. So do you credit Williamson more?
It's tough. I think I might credit Wes more because we'll get into it,
Ho, 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 ho.
but the Wes Craven Scream films definitely feel different, especially, I mean, the original, but even when Kevin Williamson is involved, without Wes, I just don't think it hits the same. But yeah, I'm gonna give the credit to Wes.
And I give the credit more to Kevin. But I will always maintain that it was a perfect partnership. It couldn't have worked without both of them. But the
Definitely.
reason that I give the credit more to Williamson is that the things that we love and remember about Scream, the fact that it was cutting edge, the fact that it was self-referential, that it was funny, that the cast just worked, that it just felt like real teenagers in a real small town. That was all on the page. So without that script, I just don't. Wes could have still made a good slasher movie, but could he have made a transformative slasher movie without Kevin's script at that time? I don't think so. I think that Kevin tapped into something in the zeitgeist at like the perfect time. He had all the right elements. It was perfect timing. And Wes directed his ass off. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, when we get to a couple of these later movies, I'm going to have some things to say that some people might not be happy to hear, but I don't really give a shit. All right. So now we're moving on to Scream 2. Now, funny enough, Jaden, this was a movie that I actually, for the longest time, considered to be better than the original Scream. But I want to hear your history on this one and where you stand with it.
Yeah. So when I did my little binge of the original 3 after having seen 4, I would say that 2 was probably the most forgettable of the first 3 when I'd first seen it. Now, I've grown to love this movie, but I do think a lot of it is retreading the original, and we'll get to Scream 3, but Scream 3 definitely separates itself enough from these first 2 movies where you're not gonna confuse Scream 3 for anything else or find it forgettable, like, you remember a lot of the shit from that movie. But yeah, Scream 2 is kind of, in a lot of ways, like, just Scream in a college setting, which, now I love. Now I find that, um, like, really interesting, and I do think this probably has the second best, like, final reveal for the killers in the franchise. I actually do really
Just calm down. Calm down.
I do like Billy's mom a lot. Um, the other dude, I don't is Rory, that's his name?
Mickey, you pleb.
Mickey. Rory's later on, I think. But yeah, no. Mickey. But see, I mean, he's one of the worst killer reveals probably, but it's like matched up against Billy's mom, who I think like that performance in
What?
itself is
Mickey's
what?
one of the worst?
Yeah.
Oh my God. No.
You think he's what do you think he's one of the best?
He's my zesty king. Bro,
Oh
go
God.
back and watch Scream 2. He is just serving in that third act, bro. I'm not even kidding. It is so enjoyable to watch. He is insane, like unhinged, but not over the top unhinged like we got in like Scream 6 and stuff where it's like, blah, 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 blah. No,
Right.
he's like, oh my God, he's controlled psychosis. That's the best way I could put it. Anyway, continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's not his performance I have an issue with. It's more just the reveal itself because it's not anything interesting or special. Um, but even with all that said, I do think, seeing more of Dewey in this movie and their relationship blossom, that's really entertaining. Um, Sydney's kind of like there's no standout thing from Sydney in this film that really like puts her above anything from the original film or anything like that for me. Um, I do like Mickey as a character leading up to the end, but I also think Scream 2 made probably the biggest mistake this franchise made, or at least top 5 in killing Randy. I've never liked that choice. Like literally ever. I thought it was so fucking dumb. I thought Randy should have been in at least Scream 3. I thought like killing him kind of just felt like a shock moment that didn't actually lead to anything interesting. There was no substance. Nobody gave a fuck in the movie when he died, and you got rid of one of the best characters.
They didn't know. They didn't know he died.
Oh yeah, right. But it doesn't really get mentioned until fucking. You see him in a. You see him in a video in fucking Scream 3.
Here we go, Scream fans. You already know whose side you're going to be on today, and it ain't Jaden's.
You see him in a video in Scream 3. You get his niece and nephew later on, but like, I just wanted more from Randy as a character because I found him so likable, and they killed him off like in a really shitty way in this movie, and I don't know. It didn't feel like his story was over, so I was always bummed by that. But anywho, I would probably give Scream 2 like 3.5 because it's still a solid slasher. It has a lot of the Scream vibes I'm looking for, but there's some big mistakes, and other than that, they don't really try much different that's really that appealing to me.
Okay, so wow. Trying to process all of that. So first and foremost, I want to say that Scream 2 is a lot like the first movie, and that is a ding I have with it, is that it follows a similar structure. I don't think it gives a lot of its characters enough to do. Randy being one of them, Sydney being another. I feel like it's a lot of Sydney from the first one. She's a little more guarded this time, but I don't really think there's a ton of growth there. They have the boyfriend red herring, and that always annoys me when it's like, oh, now let's play up this trope because it was what happened last time. Ha ha. And it's obvious. It's an obvious misdirect. I don't think anybody thought Jerry O'Connell was going to be the killer. And I hate the opening. It grates on me. Simply just because, like nobody in the theater until she literally died took it semi-seriously. She's covered in blood. She's in front of the projector screaming. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so having said that, Randy's fucking awesome here. But we needed more of him, and he shouldn't have been killed. 100%. It's a mistake that this franchise will never live down. I just don't think they will ever get out of Randy's shadow. And rightfully so. Jamie Kennedy was fantastic in these two movies. Don't really care much for the new group of friends. They're okay. They're not bad. It's just like they're fodder. We all know they're fodder. Really love the dynamic between Gale and Dewey here, though. That is one thing that's very different in this movie. Their dynamic is different, and I feel like they take the lead for a lot of this movie, and I liked it. The third act, though, I'll hear nothing bad about the third act at all. Laurie Metcalf is just absolutely killing it. Mickey, come on, dude. Timothy Olyphant he's delightfully unhinged. I really, really like this movie. But as I became an adult, in rewatches, I was like, it's not better than the first one. I don't know why I ever thought it was better than the first one. I don't think it is better than the first one. Um, but it's still really good. I'd give it a 4 because I would say that like my appreciation for it has waned over the years, but it's more so that my appreciation for other ones in this franchise has grown. Um, so that being the case, I don't want it to be misconstrued that I am in any way denigrating this movie, though, because I do think it's a very good movie, and I don't. This is how you do a slasher sequel, in my opinion. Like this is how you do it. There's a lot of ways not to do a sequel. This is a way to do it. Uh, there's some missed opportunities, though, man. Yeah, I mean, I'll never get over the Randy thing. It's just, oh, man.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
So you go 3.5, I go 4. All right. Scream 3 featuring
man.
Creed, the Creed bedroom. Let me just say, I've had the weirdest relationship with this movie. Remember the first few times I saw this, I was like, this just feels so different from the first two. And like, I don't really vibe with it. And then, you get older, you start to do research and like, oh, it's because Kevin Williamson didn't write this one. And here was the original idea for 3. And oh, I would have rather seen that and yada, yada. And then over the last 5 years or so, I have just grown to love this movie so much. Let's say a few things here first. Bringing Randy back in any way that they could with the videotape was a great idea because you knew you needed him in here. Up to this point, actually, I would still say best Nev performance is Sidney Prescott is Scream 3. She is amazing in this movie. The only thing that ever genuinely freaked me out in a Scream movie, Ghost Mom. Fucking freaky, dude. I don't care what anybody says. Love the cast in this movie. I think that, again, Gail and Dewey's dynamic is great here. I really like the inclusion of Patrick Dempsey. I like a lot of the cast here, even though they're all kind of like caricatures and over the top. I love how meta this movie is. This is probably the most meta of the first 3, without a doubt, to the point where it can get kind of hokey at times. But to Scream 3's credit, I think it fully embraces that. I don't think this movie runs from it. I don't think it tries to sell you a bill of goods and then gives you something different. No, I think this movie says, yeah, we're an R-rated Scooby-Doo, and you're either here for it or you're not. I love changing the setting to Hollywood. I loved the opening with Cotton. I freaking love that opening. I don't care what anybody says. The voice changer is awesome. You can say, oh, we didn't have those at the time. Guess what? Don't give a shit. It rules. And this third act, bro, this third act is the only one that comes close to the original for me. It's the only one. I love Scott Foley as Roman. I think that he gives a great performance. I love his motivation. I love the fact that he was a solo killer. Still the only time we've seen it in the franchise. I mean, love everything about this third act. I'll wait to give my rating, but I want to hear your thoughts and your journey with Scream 3.
Yeah. So right from the get-go with this one, I mean, I've always liked it. I know people, I remember when I was growing up, like this was the one that got shat on more than any of the others. And if you wanted to point out like one truly terrible movie in the Scream franchise, this is like the go-to for a lot of people. I never agreed with that. But I think you described it perfectly. Like this definitely is the most Scooby-Doo of any of the movies. Like this is easily the most comedic and like goofy, but I love it for it. Yeah, all the new side characters, like the characters, like you said, are great. Like Parker Posey especially is fantastic as like this, Hollywood version of Gale. Yeah, again, easily the best Sydney that we've ever gotten in any of these movies. Yeah, the opening's fantastic. I love that Cotton Weary, like we don't get him for long, but he's also another interesting element added to the movie. Like he's a good character, and Liev Schreiber is a fantastic actor, so he gets a lot out of him, even in those like 5 to 10 minutes, whatever. But the ending I've always been mixed on, even though I do like this movie. I like Roman Bridger. Like that character's interesting. The performance is good. but correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like it kind of undercuts Billy and Stu a little bit.
No, I will correct you if you're wrong.
Okay, go ahead.
Because he was just a means to an end. He kind of stoked the fire in Billy, but Billy was already pissed off about his dad ruining the family because of the affair. So Roman just gave him the push, the extra motivation. Roman didn't do anything to make Billy's dad sleep with Maureen and then have that break up Billy's family. That motivation was going to be there regardless. What Roman did was facilitate that to make it to where, like, I'm going to use this for my benefit now too. It's like, you ever been pissed off about something? And I know you have, because we all have been pissed off about something. And then you got that buddy in your ear. It's like, yeah, dude, that's bullshit, bro. You should do something about that. And it's like, yeah, dude, I should do something. That's all Roman was. He was the devil on the shoulder. So I don't think it undercuts. And furthermore, I look at it like this anyway. I mean, what Randy said about Billy in Scream 2 is true. He was a bitch. He was a mama's boy. He was a fake tough guy. Like,
yeah,
I'm so mad my dad banged your mom. I'm gonna start killing people. When, like, I don't think Billy was ever truly a mastermind. He was sloppy. Stu was sloppy. There were flaws in so much of what they did and how they went about it. I think Roman being the one to just give them that extra push, for me, I think makes sense. I didn't have any issue with it whatsoever. And I understand where you're coming from, though, when you're like, I feel like it might undercut things. I thought the same thing for a while. There's still some Scream fans that will tell you it does. I disagree, though. I don't think it does.
All right. What's your rating going to be for this one?
Oh, buddy.
It's kind of hard,
no, it's not that. It's more so like, am I just ready for the shit I'm gonna get?
No, okay.
It's a perfect 5 for me. I mean, I just
Wow. Nice.
I don't have complaints these days with it. I used to, it's the same thing with Jason X. I went through a phase years ago where I was like, oh yeah, nitpicking and all this, and I'm like, nah, dude, that's corny as shit. Like, no. When I walk away from this movie, I am completely satisfied. Great opening, great characters, fun, great ending. Totally puts a bow on this trilogy. There could have never been another Scream movie, and I think it would have ended perfectly. So, yeah, I don't have any complaints.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna go 4. I do like this more than Scream 2. I think I always have. It's probably the most fun Scream movie to this day, in my opinion.
Okay, well then, tee us off with Scream 4, because I genuinely can't remember your thoughts on 4. So this could be an interesting conversation.
All right. Yeah. So I saw Scream 4 in theaters. It was the first one I saw. I saw it with my mom and my godmother. My godmother was a very heavy influence on my love for horror. She definitely brought me to a lot of movies I shouldn't have been seeing. But
Shout out.
Yeah, for real, shout out. Scream 4, man, it's an interesting one. So when I first saw it, I really liked it. I think for a couple years there, it kind of went to the wayside a bit when I was doing my rankings of Scream and just my, feelings on each movie. I just kind of felt whatever about it. But upon my last rewatch, I was like, this is like a really good way to bring back Scream. Like, it really is a shame that it never got a sequel, or a direct sequel to it, and we didn't have a line of Scream movies in the 2010s, because I think this was a good, fresh kick in the ass that this franchise needed, and it showed that there could be movies after Scream 3 that made sense. I think Jill is one of the best ghost faces ever. Like, I don't think she's as good as Billy and Stu. There's nobody ever going to be as good as them, but she's got good motivation. She has a really interesting reveal where she's kicking the shit out of herself. It's pretty awesome. All right. I know you have complicated feelings with this movie, but I like her. And the reason I mixed up the Rory thing, Rory Culkin plays fucking the other guy, whatever his
Charlie,
name is.
he's a cuck.
Charlie. Yeah. Charlie's whatever. And I also think Kirby is one of the best additions in the franchise, one of the best like new additions. And I wish she was in more movies. You know, we see her later on and she's great, but yeah, she's really good in this one. I like Dewey and Gale. I like everything that's happening with them. Um, I don't know, man. I like Scream 4. It's weirdly the one I have the most nostalgia for because it was the first one I saw. Um, I do think of the first four, it's probably the ugliest though. Like visually, it's just like very weird looking compared to the other ones. They had like fucking wax or some bullshit on the lens that made it look super weird.
Lube.
Yeah, lube for real. Um, I'll save my rating. I want to hear what you think about this one.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure you watch my channel, and that being the case, you've heard my thoughts on Scream 4. Scream 4 is an interesting movie for me because the first time I saw this movie was when it came out, and on DVD. I didn't see it in theaters, and I remember buying it blind because I was like, "It's Scream. I'm gonna buy it blind." I like the first three. I watched it and I was like, "Oh, this is really good. I really liked this. This was like a hip, modern way to bring Scream back. I thought it brought all these characters back into this world really well. And I didn't really have a complaint with it. And then, aside from the third act, even in my first watch, I was like, eh. And then as the years have gone on, it's just really waned for me. Starting this off, I think this opening sucks. Like I think it's a bad way to open a Scream movie. And you're already up against it if your opening in a Scream film is not very good. And in my opinion, I don't think the opening in this is very good. And then you move forward from there and you get reintroduced to characters you know and love. And I like where Sydney's at. I like where Gail's at. I like where Dewey's at. You get to know these new characters. And I got to be honest with you, all of them, aside from Kirby, I could care less for. It was just like high school fodder. Like that's really what it was. But the biggest thing for me is, one, I hate the way this movie looks. Like you said, it's genuinely awful.
Yeah.
And it was intentional by Wes to try to mimic the look of, the horror remake craze. Like, oh, this is how they all look these days. So shiny and over polished. And I'm like, so why do it if you're criticizing it? I don't understand that.
Yeah.
But regardless, it really dates the movie. And then I just still can't get behind this third act. One, because Charlie is a cuck. Like he serves no purpose aside to be, from being like the fall guy.
Yeah.
Not really. Yes and no, but it's more so Trevor's the fall guy. But you know what I mean? Like he was the brawn in her plan and she was the brain. The problem is, they're both like 5 foot, like 100 pounds. So it's when you get into logistics, you're kind of like, I don't know how some of this would have happened, but again, it's a Scream movie. You got to suspend some disbelief. I understand that. It is a good motivation. I'm never going to take that away from the movie. I like the motivation. I thought it was really topical. It's still really topical, sadly. Kind of ahead of its time, really. But man, there's just a lot about this movie that I feel like just ages poorly. I don't care for most of the characters. And oh my God, the ending, bro. And I know that was never the plan to end it in the hospital. They had an ending with a much tighter bow on it at the house that would have led into a sequel. And then things happened. But man, this is a movie that tries a lot of really cool new things. I just don't know if it lands all of them. And I feel like that's kind of where I'm at with it. Very much a mixed bag. I've said before, though, I think this is a franchise that is insanely consistent, and I will be consistent in saying that. I do. Scream is, in my opinion, there's not a truly bad film in the bunch. Scream 4 for me, though, is like, it's a 3 out of 5. It's my least favorite. But what about you?
I'm gonna go 3.5 here. I don't think it's great, but I think it's good, and I have my love for it. But yeah,
Okay, well, then after a decade, Scream was coming back, baby. 5 Cream. Scream 5. Scream 2022 gets announced. All the major players are back. Every Scream fan is excited. We've waited over a decade. It's got to be good, right? We're in the age of these legacy sequels. Like, they can do this. Dude, I was hyped for this movie. I was so hyped. Like, I wasn't as hyped as I was for like Halloween 2018, but like this was one of the more hyped I've been like going into a horror movie, in the last decade, I would say.
yeah,
And I liked it the first time I watched it. I wasn't in love with it, but I really liked it. I thought they did some really good things. First and foremost, this is David Arquette's movie, and Dewey is great at least in the first half. This is his movie. And he's great in
yeah,
it. He breaks your heart, man. I mean, you're seeing this kind of like Barney Pfeiffer sheriff that you used to just love so much, that you still love, that has just always been this heart of gold good guy, and he's down on his luck. He lost his wife. He's an alcoholic. Like, it breaks your heart. And then they kill him. And it's to facilitate the plot. I get that. That's how you bring back Sid. It's like, oh, why else would she come back to Woodsboro unless somebody that she loved died? I can understand that to a degree. Maybe you could have had him just get attacked and end up in the hospital in critical condition, and maybe that's enough for her to come back because she realizes her friends are in danger. But, whatever. I digress. What else? The new cast, they're fine. Aside from, I'm sorry, Melissa Barrera. She's not good in this movie. And I'll have more kind things to say about her in the next one because it's not like an anti-Melissa thing. I think she's a good actress. She's just not good in this movie. I think the script did her no favors, frankly. The fact that this was shot during COVID, it looks like it. It feels like it. Like it looks very artificial. And I hate movies that look that way. And then they make commit the cardinal sin of bringing in Sydney just to have her be essentially a glorified cameo. That's dumb. I get you wanted to bring in a new generation and pass the baton, so to speak, but like, I mean, if you're going to do that, you might want to give, the GOAT a little bit more time on screen if you're going to try to move off of her entirely. Motivation is fine, but I wasn't surprised by the reveal. There's some good kills in here. But at the end of the day, I walk away from this movie now, every time I watch it, and I just watched it again a couple weeks ago, just feeling like it looks like somebody doing an impersonation of Wes Craven. It just feels that way. They're trying their best to be Wes Craven, but they're just not. They're just not Wes Craven. And yeah, man, I'd say it's a mixed bag for me. Yeah. Before I give my rating, I want to hear what you have to say.
yeah. So, cue some looks from Nick, but I showed my girlfriend all the Scream movies leading up to this one, and it's her favorite horror franchise. So being able to see this in a theater with her was really cool, and we were extremely excited. And I think we came out of it like feeling pretty good. Just because it was cool to see a Scream movie in a movie theater, and it was cool to see it with somebody that I got to show this franchise, and I know she loved it, and there was a lot of hype around it. But I think it's the least rewatchable Scream movie. I think it's just incredibly like safe and boring at times. I don't think any of the performances are standout outside of Dewey. And I think after Randy, it's got to be probably the worst death of a character in the franchise in terms of impact, because we'll get into it, but I think you might have gotten a bit more mileage if you kill Gail here instead of Dewey, especially because she's really nothing in the movies after. Like, she has some funny bits, but Gail as a character just isn't anywhere near as interesting as Dewey is in this movie and what could have happened in the future sequels with Dewey. Um, so yeah, killing him off was a huge bummer, especially because he is the bright spot in this movie for sure. Um, Sydney does nothing. It's really disappointing. I think it has probably the most forgettable opening of the franchise as well. I mean, like, everything in that scene is done well, but nobody dies. Or Jenna Ortega's character doesn't die. You know, she lives on and nothing ever happens, so it's not really that impactful. Um, yeah, man, it's just very okay. Like, I don't find myself ever rushing to go revisit this movie. It's not that interesting to me anymore. But
Do you agree with like the critiques that I had of it be like it looks artificial, it feels, it really does feel, in my opinion, like somebody doing a Wes Craven impersonation.
yeah, I definitely would. Yeah, it just doesn't have any like sauce, dude. Like, there's just not really anything interesting about this movie. It feels like it's a Scream movie made by Scream fans because it was, but um yeah, I don't know. It just didn't have any of the charm of the first four.
Yeah. So, what are you rating it then?
So with all that being said, I do think it's a competent slasher. There's enough, like, Dewey stuff is great. Um I think when he gets killed, that moment is actually good, but it's just the aftermath that kind of sucks. Um and I never remember the actor's name, but the dude who was in 13 Reasons Why and all that kid, the one named
Oh yeah.
Wes, I think, in this movie.
Yeah, that's
There's a good scene of
Dylan
tension
Minnette.
with him. Yeah. There is a good scene of tension with him leading up to his kill. I think that was done pretty well.
I love the
Um,
fake outs in that scene. There's so many fake outs, and I actually really dug
yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's great. Um, we didn't really talk about the killer reveals that much, but I think Jack Quaid puts in a good performance, even if the motivation is kind of whatever. I think it makes sense, and I don't think it's bad, but it's not that interesting either. Um, I'm gonna go with a solid 3. I think it's above average. It's okay, and I think it'll probably stay that way.
Yeah, I'm going with a 3.5 for this movie. And I'm actually kinder to the motivation here, but not as kind to the reveal.
Mm,
Um, I actually quite like what Mikey Madison is doing in this third act. She's really chewing the scenery and she's delightfully unhinged. But my God, not at all surprising. I mean, not I had her pegged as soon as the movie started. I was like, "Yep, you're a killer."
yeah.
Um, and this is something we'll talk about once we get to 7 as well. I feel like we're in this era of Scream right now where, like, what happened to the surprise and it's not there. But yeah, I'd say this movie being like largely sauceless is a pretty good, you know what? I'll go with 3 as well. I will go with 3. My last rewatch, there were moments where I was like, "Oh man, like come on. Let's get
Yeah.
going." Yeah, so we're in agreement there. All right, Jaden, take a trip down memory lane and tell me about your experience with Scream 6. Ghostface Takes Manhattan.
Yeah. Man, the lead up to this one was really weird because we knew that Nev Campbell wasn't going to be in it. Um, there was a lot of controversy, which, will continue with this franchise after, but I'd say this is really where it starts, which is casting and everything revolved with the making of this movie leading up to it. So I did have mixed feelings on it. The first Scream without, you know, the heart and soul of this franchise sounded weird to me, and I felt like this could be really bad, but I feel like the trailers were pretty good. I love the setting. I think putting Scream in New York was so cool, like, and so interesting for this franchise. Um, And I went in, like, I'd say maybe cautiously optimistic, um, and I came out kinda blown away, I'm not gonna lie. Like, when I saw this with my girlfriend again, and we kinda came out and we were like, "This was, like, way better than either of us expected," and, the song with Demi Lovato fucking rules too. You and I have talked about that. It's the best song for this franchise. Um, but yeah, this is probably the most fun Scream movie to me after 3. Um, I love the setting. I love, like, a lot of the chase sequences, the kills. I love seeing Ghostface in a bodega or a corner store with a shotgun. It's so fucking rad. Um, and honestly, one of the best openings in the franchise. Like, really interesting how they did that. Like, where you get to see who you think is Ghostface, and then there's another. Like, all that shit is dope. Um, but I won't go into it too much. I'll talk a little bit after. But what were your first impressions of this one?
I mean, like you, I was pretty skeptical going into it because, before we saw trailers and stuff, I was like, no Nev. Like, and how all of that went down behind the scenes, it just didn't sit right with me. It really did feel like that they were not appreciating the character of Sidney Prescott and the legacy there, which I felt like was a bold move, Cotton. Let's see how it plays out because, you know, she I've always maintained she's just as important to Scream as Ghostface is, and I will still
Mhm.
maintain that. But then the trailers came, man, and I was like, this actually looks kind of rad. Like, I can't lie, this looks rad. And the biggest thing for me going into this that had me fearful was I did not like Melissa Barrera or Jenna Ortega really in Scream 5. And I was like, you're going to give the franchise over to these characters. And I just was not invested in them in 5. And they both were pretty good here. Jenna gets less to do, honestly. She's still kind of the damsel in distress. But I really liked Melissa in this movie. I feel like she worked better when she was able to just embrace the badass side of her character, and really just kind of be no holds barred, um, borderline psycho. And I really, really dug that. I like the cast as a whole here. As much as I didn't care for most of them in 5, dude, Chad won me over in this movie. I loved
Yeah.
Chad. This was the first Scream movie I could have, at the time thought of that genuinely had me like kind of edge of my seat in the theater. Like the ladder sequence was really suspenseful. Um, the subway sequence was done really well. Like, it really felt like Radio Silence was getting their footing here. Now there are dings. One, bro, the third act again. Not only was it
Yeah.
not really surprising, it was a dog shit motivation that we've seen done to death at this point now, in the series. And furthermore, I feel like they sacrifice the surprise and the mystery of it for, okay, we'll just go crazy, just start going fucking crazy. And it's like, okay, yeah, I'll go crazy. And that makes it fun. Like, it's enjoyable to watch, but you walk away and you're like, I remember Scream when it was like surprising though. And
Mm.
that third act was thought provoking. And it hasn't been there in years. And Scream 6 was another example of that. At the end of the day, though, I loved the cast. I loved the setting. I think this is the most brutal Ghostface. I don't even think there's a close second. Like, this Ghostface is just, it pissed some people off that like Ghostface grabbed a shotgun and stuff. And I'm like, dude, fuck you guys. Like, this is fun, bro. I want to see
Yeah.
Ghostface kill people in new ways. Like, probably my favorite Ghostface in the robe and in the mask in the entire series. Like, just ruthless. Yeah, dude, I loved this movie, which is why it was crazy because, and you look at this thing too, I'm pretty sure this has like the highest audience score on Rotten Tomatoes of all the movies. It's like 90% or
Wow.
some shit like that. But if you hear certain people talk on the internet, you would think that like all the fans hated this, which is
Yeah.
crazy to me because I'm like, no, dude, this went over really well with a lot of people. And it was the biggest Scream movie, was the biggest Scream movie. And it looked like, hey, maybe they can do this thing without Nev. Not that I was comfortable with that, but it was like, maybe there's more juice here, more gas left in the tank than we might have thought. The This is a 4.5 for me, man. It really, really is. It's my third favorite Scream film. And, I do think that I want Sydney for Scream long term. Like, I don't know if you could do it long term without her in it, but a one-off here and there, I was okay with it. I really, really dug this movie, man. I really, really did.
Yeah,
What's your
man.
rating?
I'm gonna match your 4.5. This is my second favorite Scream movie after the original, and I don't know, the core four are fucking great here. All of them are really likable, and all their relationships with each other are great. Um, I would say my biggest flaw with this movie that kind of keeps it from being perfect is that there's really no stakes at all in this film. Like the plot armor is insane. Like nobody dies of consequence. It's the characters they introduce in this movie that you'll never see again that they kill. Like realistically, Chad should have died. Gail should have died. There should have been a bit more to this, especially when he's getting shanked by two ghost faces and held by his arms like that. Makes no sense he's alive. But even with that, super fun movie, like the best characters in a Scream film after the original, and it is upsetting that we can't see what would have happened with them after this film because of all the bullshit that happened,
We will.
or half of them.
No, we will. There will be a legacy sequel down the line at some point. I just know there will be. There 100% will be. It'll be when the rights go to a new production company. We will 100% see them back in Scream. Like once this new trilogy runs out with Nev and Kevin Williamson, and then I'm sure the rights lapse to somebody else. There's another bidding war. That's going to be where they go next. I think Kevin Williamson's idea for a trilogy here is probably going to end it pretty well for Sydney. I don't think it'll be the end of Sydney, though. I think you'll get a Halloween 2018 eventually as well. But in the intermediary there, I do think you're going to get them returning. I really do.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm 50-50 on it, but even if somehow they never go back to it, I do feel like this is actually a pretty good ending for those characters. If they did choose to end it here, I feel like it's pretty, I don't know. It's ended pretty well. So yeah, man, I love this movie so much. I'd say one of the more rewatchable ones, definitely the most rewatchable of the new Scream era. Yeah. That leaves one.
That leaves one. The
Yep.
one that just came out, Scream 7. The one that is the crown holder in the franchise now for the largest opening by $30 million. To some people,
Yeah.
that pisses them off because they're like, this movie sucked. How was it so big? I mean, it's Scream. At this point, I think people need to realize that this is an iconic horror franchise that I would argue is stronger today than it probably ever has been. So for me, I went into this movie hopeful because Kevin Williamson was at the helm, hopeful because Nev Campbell was back, and this was a Sydney-centric movie. She wasn't just back like in Scream 5. No, this is her movie. I was hopeful. And I walked into this movie, and the movie's just kind of unfolding before my eyes, and I was like, I'm digging this. This is good. This is good. And the third act happens, and I'm like, oh, so this is just Scream now. Like this is where we are with Scream. Like the third acts aren't surprising. The motivation largely sucks balls. This is just where the franchise is now. Sad to say, but that's kind of the state of Scream right now. That being the case, Nev is great here. And not only is she great, I thought we got to see a different side to Sydney. We got to see the motherly side of Sydney, the Sydney that's trying to live a normal life, the Sydney that isn't like Laurie in 2018. She's not barricaded in a fucking fortress like, oh, he's coming after me. No, she's just living, bro. She's vibing. Love Joel McHale as her husband. I think a lot of people were rightly skeptical when they cast him, thinking, here we go. Here's the comedic, over the top. What are you doing in a Scream movie guy? No, thought he was actually really good, held his own. I said in my review that I didn't really buy the whole angsty teen side of Tatum. Like that was just like, rehashing her mom's life. And this, I'm not, you're trying a little too hard. Like, I don't know. But once it gets into the second and third act where she has to become more of a fighter and a survivor and all that, like really, really dug that. So she won me over. Some great kills here. One of the things that I love the most about this movie is I felt like it went back to the good way Ghostface was in that original trilogy, where it felt like a person behind the mask again. Like, as much as I loved the insanity and over the top nature of Scream 6, 7 very much had this like the vibe of the first 3 where like Ghostface is kind of clumsy, and I dug that, and you can knock this Ghostface down and kind of get the better of this Ghostface. And it had the chase sequences again, which I felt like this franchise largely has moved away from since the first 3 movies. You don't get these elongated chases anymore. There were a lot of them in this movie, and I really, really dug that. I walked away from this movie as a Scream fan, largely happy. I want to go back to the third acts that are good. I mean, we need new writers like Guy Busick and Jamie Vanderbilt. Thanks for helping bring Scream back, but no thanks moving forward. But I don't know. I'm ready to hear your thoughts because I know it's not going to be as positive as mine.
Yeah. So yeah, I haven't talked to Nick at all about this film. I didn't even watch the reviews. I was just trying to kind of stay secluded with my own thoughts and get that out without them being influenced by anybody else. Yeah. So I went into this feeling very like whatever about it, to be honest. We even talked about it on the last episode. I wasn't super excited. I wasn't, super bummed or angry or anything. I didn't really have any strong feelings about this movie one way or the other. Um, but I will say that once it started, I was liking everything that I was seeing. Well, maybe not everything, right? Like the side characters, the new kids are kind of whatever. Tatum, I definitely get that feeling that she's trying a bit too hard to be that angsty teen. Um, I think she has room for growth, but this first movie, she's not that interesting. Nev Campbell's fantastic in this film. I love her performance, and she is like drop dead gorgeous. I'm like, holy shit. Um,
Bro, when she runs into the theater and goes, motherfucker, like I was like, hell yeah. Like
Yeah.
this is Sydney.
yeah. It's cool to see the twins back. That was really cool. I love them.
First time I liked Mindy.
Yeah, she's a little grating, but this one she's good. Gail's kind of whatever. Not that I particularly love Gail, but she doesn't have a ton to do here.
Okay, but tell me her entrance isn't fucking incredible. Like my
It
theater
is.
cheered.
Yeah. But this movie really, really, really lost me in the third act. Like, it is the worst kill reveal in the franchise, without a doubt. There's no doubt in my mind these are the worst ghost faces that have ever been in a Scream film. Um, Man, I mean, the first one just being some random ass dude that glances at her at a coffee shop and killing him halfway through the movie, I thought it was a funny little gag, but like once you get to the actual final reveals, so we're already in spoiler territory, so if you've seen this movie, you'll know. But this whole movie, they're building up that Stu might be alive because that's what the fans want, right? Everybody wants Stu to be alive. They wanted him to be the killer, and in my head, I'm like, they're kind of putting this on too strong for it to actually be Stu, but there was still that little inkling. I was like, maybe it is Stu. Like, that would be fucking awesome. And I just think they should have pulled the trigger because it ends up being some dude who worked at a psychiatric hospital and one of Sydney's friends at a coffee shop. And it's just not interesting. These are characters that they introduce in this movie, and by the end you kind of have to cross out who actually had scenes in the movie and who was left, and they're just shitty options, man. They're not interesting at all. the motivation I didn't find that interesting. The performances are way too hokey and not. I just don't think they're good. Um, and the way that I can't even remember her name, but the blonde lady who ends up being Ghostface,
Jessica.
Jessica. The way she dies is just like,
Awesome.
eh. I,
No, it's literally
I don't know. Getting her face shot
my
off with like
entire
CGI
theater
gore.
cheered. My entire theater cheered.
I don't know. I thought it was corny, but yeah, man, they really should have pulled the trigger. And even though it may have been dumb, like I think Stu should have been the killer in this film. I really do. I think they should have brought him back. They got Matthew Lillard back. The scenes you get with him where he's AI are fun. Like getting to see Stu in the modern age is very cool.
And I felt like he stepped back into the role perfectly. Like he
Yeah.
was that over the top jokester psychopath. Like I really dug it.
They just should have done it, dude. Because what we got is bullshit.
You're not gonna get any pushback from me on that. You know I'm a Stuther. But I will say I don't think it's off the table for the future. And
I don't know.
I think that this in some ways was a soft launch to see how people would react to it. Furthermore, it's not confirmed. They asked a bunch of questions in this movie. They added more to the theory that he could still be alive. I really think that I wouldn't be surprised if the end game of this trilogy for Kevin Williamson is to have Stu be the one that masterminded this entire new series of attacks, or maybe was masterminding everything. Now, I know someone's going to comment down below and go, well, Kevin Williamson gave an interview yesterday, and he said they did shoot a scene where it was going to be revealed that Stu was alive at the end, but test audiences didn't like it. Yeah, I read that article as well. I'll say a few things on that. One, do you honestly think that Kevin Williamson would tell us the truth? No.
Yeah.
If he's building to something, he's not going to tell you the truth, first of all. Second of all, if that's his end game, why would you give it away in the first movie of your planned trilogy? That doesn't make any sense either. And then furthermore, why continue to put gasoline onto this theory and not douse it? Like, because he didn't. Like, we got more where it was like, oh, yeah, they said that a body never showed up at the morgue, Woodsboro morgue in 96.
Yeah.
And now, of course, Gail goes, well, it could be a number of things. Yeah, it could. You didn't answer the fucking question, though. So you're giving me more reasons to think he could still be alive. Look, at the end of the day, I really dug Scream 7. It's not on the level of 1, 3, or 6 for me, but it's probably smack dab in the middle. I probably have this at 4, and then I would probably go 2, 5, 4. This is probably like literally right in the middle of my franchise ranking. I think it does a lot of stuff really well. Sydney, the small town vibe, the score again, Marco Beltrami, you were missed, and he delivered. There's some really cool kills here. I liked the MO of Ghostface in this movie. Like, there was a lot to really dig. Yeah, Tatum takes a while to warm up to. She's a mixed bag. The third act just is what it is. It's just not good. Like, in my opinion, it's just not good. That is what takes this down a whole star for me. It's the third act. But I really dug it, man. I really did. And I won't have anything bad to say about Gale in this movie. I thought this might be my favorite Gale. We got to see badass Gale like we always do, but we also got to see like damaged Gale, physically and emotionally damaged Gale. And I thought it gave Courtney more to do. It showed more range. I was actually really, really intrigued by that. And I really liked that. So this is a 4 out of 5 for me.
Yeah. So everything you said where it could be leading up to Stu, like I do think that is possible. And I think we're going to really know like the impact of this film and how this film is looked at by people in a couple of years when this trilogy is done, if Stu does come back. Because if he doesn't, I think this movie just gets worse. Right now it's sitting at a 3 for me. I do think it's a solid slasher. It's got good kills. It's got some interesting characters. Um, but man, that final act is brutal. It is fucking brutal. I mean, it's very cheesy, very bad, poorly acted. Everything about it is just not good.
I don't agree with the poorly acted part, guys. I think Anna Camp, she's literally just doing what Dermot Mulroney did in the last one, which is over the top and is a bit redundant because we just saw it in the last one. But I'm going to be real. I think it's a good performance. But that's my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't feeling it, but with all that said, yeah, three is where it stands. I think it's above average, but not amazing. Um, I do think it's more rewatchable than 5, so
That's not very hard.
it's not. Do you want to get into our final rankings for the franchise?
Yeah.
Do it.
For me, this one's pretty easy. Starting with the best to worst: 1, 3, 6, 7, 2, 5, 4. And I've said this for years, and I will continue to say this. I don't think there's a bad movie in this series. There's just some that are way better than others, but I think at its worst, Scream is still a very solid slasher. I don't think there is a skip it in this series, personally, but that's my ranking.
Okay. I'm gonna go worst to best. I'm gonna go 5, 7, 2, 4, 3, 6, and then the original. And I would agree with you. I do think it's a pretty consistent franchise, even though I have my qualms with Scream 5 and 7. There's enough good there to not make them bad movies. Like, they are still fine, or pretty good even. Yeah, man. I am looking forward to the future of this franchise, with all the bullshit that's going on with this series and the backlash and all that. I do think it's going to be successful, and I think there is stuff that they can build upon on this movie, even if it wasn't my favorite, that can be interesting. So I am looking forward to it, but they got to get better killer reveals. They got to spice something up in the next one. Like, they really do.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And before we wrap this up, I do just want to say I don't want to speak for Jaden, and obviously he'll have a chance to speak for himself. But in talking to him about this over the last couple of years, I know he agrees with me. Neither one of us agrees with the decision that Spyglass made in getting rid of Melissa Barrera for voicing her opinion on something. An opinion that I would say is actually pretty widely held now. Maybe 2 years ago it was more it was more
Controversial.
yeah, it was more controversial then, not so much now.
No.
However, Scream has existed since 1996, and I've loved this series since the first time I saw the first movie. And to me, Scream is Ghostface and Sidney Prescott. And while I may not agree with how this movie came about behind the scenes in certain areas, I chose to support this movie because I'm a Scream fan first and foremost. I'm a Sidney Prescott fan. I'm a Ghostface fan. I wanted to show that respect to Kevin Williamson and everybody that worked on this movie. I also do feel like, as you said, Scream 7 was a really good bookend for that story. I didn't think we needed another one with them. If anything, I would feel like you were milking it because it wrapped up really nicely. And I'm like, where do you even go from there? Like, she dropped the mask and walked away. Like, that's a good bookend. The circumstances of it being their ending shouldn't have been, and I don't believe it will be long term because Spyglass is not going to be the one that has the rights to Scream forever. They're just not. So, but yeah, that's my stance on that. I would assume you probably echo that.
Yeah, I think it's pretty bullshit. But again, like we talked about, I do think it was a good ending for their characters, and maybe it's better they're not going to be in any Scream movies or any new ones, at least, like for a little bit, because it might just feel a little oversaturated. Um, I'm glad the twins are back. I'm interested to see where they go with them. I honestly thought they might have been the killers in this movie, and I think that would have been way more interesting than what we got, but it could happen. You never know.
It could. So, Jaden, we're now in March, and last year we covered the Leprechaun franchise, and ain't
Yeah,
no way we're doing that again on Podgoblins. But I want to let everybody listening to this right now know I'm going to be doing it on my channel this month. I'm going to be doing every Leprechaun movie. I'm doing a video revisited for every single one, even the ones that I swore I'd never watch again. I'm doing it. So, Jaden, what is next for us?
Ooh, man. What is next? I don't know, man. We haven't really talked about this, I don't think. So you're kind of putting me on the
So
spot
maybe,
here.
then let's leave them in suspense. And we
Yeah.
don't need to tell them what's next. You know, nowadays everybody they want and they want and they want and they need to know everything. No, you don't need to know this one, and you're not going to know it. So why don't you guys sleep in fear tonight, wondering what's next for the Podgoblins? Jaden, before we get out of here, do you have anything you want to say to the people?
It's been a good year. We're over a year now into this podcast. It's pretty crazy. Past couple episodes have done pretty well. There's been a lot of good feedback, very active comment section, so I'm really happy to see all that. I feel like this episode has a lot of potential, and I hope the numbers are well, and I hope the comments could go another way if certain people get into them, but I'm looking forward to seeing what people say, and I appreciate the support, and we're going to have a lot of cool episodes coming for you this year, so looking forward to it.
You guys heard it there first. So until next time, stay goblin on the pod, and we'll catch you later.